Hey, everybody. How's it going? Yeah, I had my Saturday shower. My hair's an absolute disaster. Um, hey, Linda, how's it going? I decided that you were right, Linda. It was a little short, so I'm going to, let's see. Yeah, we will do, what did I say, two and three? Or did I say three and four? Hey, hey, hey. All right. And I have another quilt project I'm going to start. I'm getting things all over the place here. The second year, part two and three. Wild geese were late in coming from the north, and when they did, seemed in a hurry to go on south.
What? Oh my God. Oh my goodness, she's gotta be here in the middle of everything. Oh, mommy, baby. Oh, yes you are. Yes you are. We gotta get some Q-tips. Oh, your ears look pretty good. Oh, they just want to baby to rub them. My goodness.
Honest to God. If this gets any more precious,
Oh my goodness.
you got snot in your eyes, girl. Ow, ow, watch my skin. Oh my God. She's really being
Sucky today.
yeah, baby. Do you know they're throwing a party for your cousin Macy today? Your cousin Macy. What kind of dog? The corgi. Uncle Mikey's throwing a birthday party. And you may ask why you've never had a birthday party. Sorry, guys. Part two, three, and four. Okay, well, you know what? Just give me a second and I'll change that. Give me a second here. Since Gracie has already interrupted our live, let's just get this. Part three and four. Okay, let me just edit that. Part two and three. There we go. There we go. Save that. Let's do that. And boom. There we go. All right. It's part two and three. Wild geese were late coming from the north, and when they did, seemed in no hurry to go on south. Instead, they fed in the sloughs and flew from one lake to the other, where the water was nearly covered with them when they swam about. Good hunting, but I do not like ducks and geese. I don't. I like them as pets. It's weird, I know. The sky was filled with their V-shaped flocks, and the air rang with their calls. Manly hurried into the house for his gun one day. A flock of geese is coming over so low, I believe I can get one, he told Laura. Quickly he went out the door, and forgetting that the old gun kicked, he held it up before his face, sighted, and pulled the trigger. Laura followed him just in time to see him whirl around with his hand to his face. Oh, did you hit a goose? Yes, but I didn't quite kill it, he answered as he wiped the blood from his nose. The flock of geese went on unharmed to join their kindred on the lake. It was going to be an open winter. The geese knew there was no hurry to go south. The small field was soon plowed, and the work was over. In November, the snow came and covered the ground, making good sleighing. Manly and Laura, well bundled up and covered with robes, went often for sleigh rides or on sunny afternoons, because Laura felt so much better outdoors. Manly made a hand sled and a breast collar harness for old Shep. On pleasant days, Laura hitched Shep to the hand sled and let him pull her on it down the hill to the road. Then together they would climb the hill, Shep pulling the sled and Laura walking beside him to take another ride down until she was tired from the walking and the fun. Shep never got tired of it. And at Achoo! 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 There's always a third, eh? Sorry about that. Shep never got tired of it. And at times, when the sled tipped against a drift and Laura rolled into the snow, he seemed to actually laugh. And so November passed and December came. The sun was shining on the morning of the 5th of December, but it looked stormy in the north. Better play outdoors all you can today, for it may be too stormy tomorrow, Manly said. Thank you, Linda. Soon after breakfast, Laura hitched Shep to the sled and took the day's first ride down the hill. But she stayed out only a little while. What is a fully pregnant woman doing going down a hill on a sled? Trying to get things moving, maybe? And do you notice they never talk about the outhouse? Never ever mention an outhouse. I guess it's because it's for children, but somebody should have asked, where's the bathroom? But she stayed out only a little while. I don't feel like playing, she told Manly when he came up from the barn. I would rather curl up by the stove. And again, after dinner work was done, she sat idly by the stove in her little rocking chair, which worried Manly. Along in the afternoon, Manly went to the barn and came back with the horses hitched to the sleigh. I'm going for your ma, he said. Keep as quiet as you can until we come. It was snowing hard now from the window. Laura watched him drive down the road with the team trotting their best. She thought that the pace would have won them the prize of the 4th of July races. Then she walked the floor or sat by the stove until Manly came back with her ma. My goodness, Ma exclaimed as she warmed herself by the fire. You should not be up. I'll get you into bed right away. Actually, walking would be better. And Laura answered, I'll have a long time to stay in bed. I'm going to stay up now as long as I can. But soon she made no objections and only vaguely knew when Manly drove away to fetch a friend of her ma's from town. Mrs. Powers was a friendly, jolly Irish woman. The first Laura knew of her being there was hearing her say, Sure, she'll be all right, for it's young she is. 19, you say, the very age of my Mary, but we'd better have the doctor out now, I'm thinking. When Laura could again see and know what went on around her, Ma and Mrs. Powers were standing one on each side of the bed. And was that Manly at the foot? No, Manly had gone for the doctor. There were 2 Ma's and 2 Mrs. Powers? They seemed to be all around her. What was that old hymn Pa used to sing? Angel Bank, come and round me stand, oh, bear me away on your snowy wings too. She was being borne away on a wave of pain. Oh, God, I remember it. A gust of cold, fresh air brought her back, and she saw a tall man drop his snowy overcoat by the door and come toward her in the lamplight. She vaguely felt a cold cloth touch her face and smelled a keen odor. Ether. Then she drifted away into a blessed darkness where there was no pain. When Laura opened her eyes, the lamp was still shining brightly over the room, and Ma was bending over her with the doctor standing beside her, and in the bed by her side was a little warm bundle. And because she went under anesthetic, she didn't, I swear she did not have the bond with her daughter that she would have been had she been awake when she was born. That's why when I had my cesarean sections, they wanted to do it with an epidural so I would be awake. A lot of good it did me. I was so out of it. See your little daughter, Laura, a beautiful baby. She weighs just 8 pounds, Ma said. It's a fine girl you are, Mrs. Powers said from where she was sitting by the fire. A fine, brave girl, and baby'll be good because of it. You'll be all right now. So Manly took the doctor and Mrs. Powers home, but Ma stayed. And Laura went to sleep at once with her hand resting gently on Rose. Rose was such a good baby, so strong and healthy, that Ma stayed only a few days. Then Hattie Johnson came, to wash baby this time instead of windows, she said. But soon Hattie went, and the 3, Manly, Laura, and Rose, were left by themselves in the little house atop the low hill with the sweep of the empty prairie all around. There was not a house near enough for neighbors, but a mile away across the slough, a few buildings on the edge of town were in sight. $100 precious dollars had gone for doctor bills and medicine to help Laura through the summer and winter so far. Okay, excuse me. $100 precious dollars had gone for doctor bills and medicine and help through the summer and winter so far. But after all, a rose in December was much rarer than a rose in June and must be paid for accordingly. Christmas was at hand and Rose was a grand present. Then the day before Christmas, Manly hauled a load of hay to town and brought back the most beautiful clock. It stood nearly 2 feet high from its solid walnut case to the carved leaf at its very top. The glass door that covered the face was wreathed with a gilt vine on which 4 gilt birds fluttered, and the pendulum that swung to and from behind them was the color of gold too. The clock had such a pleasant, cheerful voice as it said tick-tock when it struck the hour. Its tone was clear and sweet. Laura loved it at once. The old round nickel alarm clock could not be depended on to tell the time right, but it still would have answered the need, and Laura said doubtfully, "But ought you?" Then Manly told her he had traded the load of hay for it and would be a Christmas present for all 3 of them. The hay that he had kept for feed was holding out so well that there would be more than enough to take the stock through the rest of the winter, and he wouldn't have sold the load of hay for money because they were not shipping anymore. Christmas was a happy time, even though it was a stormy day, and they stayed quietly at home. After the Christmas storm, the weather was clear and sunny, but cold, 25 and 30 below some days. But one day seemed unusually warm, and Laura had been home for so long she wanted to go for a sleigh ride to see Ma and Pa. Could they take the baby out safely? They were sure they could. Some blankets were put to warming by the stove. Manly drove the cutter close to the door and made a little warm nest of them in the shelter of the dashboard. Rose was wrapped up in her own warm blankets and little red cloak and hood, with a thin blue silk handkerchief lightly covering her face and tucked tightly in among the blankets of the cutter. And that's how a lot of babies died, because they smothered. They went away. Away they went, the horses stepping quickly and the sleigh bells ringing merrily. Several times Laura put her hand in among the blankets and touched Rose's face to be sure she was warm and that there was air beneath the veil. Good girl. It seemed only a few minutes until they drove up to the old home place and went quickly into the house, where Ma and Pa both scolded them. "You're crazy," Pa said. "Out with a baby when it's 15 below." And so it was by the thermometer. She might have smothered," said Ma. "But I watched. She couldn't have," Laura answered. And Rose waggled her fingers and cooed. She was warm and happy and had had a good nap. Laura had never thought it might be dangerous to take the baby out, and she was anxious on the way home and glad when they were safely there. See, she did all the right things, and yet her parents made her feel less than. It seemed that there was a good deal to taking care of babies. Part 3. There were no more sleigh rides for some time, and then one day that was really warm, they drove the 4 miles to see their good friends, the Boasts. Mr. and Mrs. Boast lived by themselves on their farm. They had no children and could hardly make fuss enough over Rose. When at last the visit was over and Mr. Boast was standing by the buggy to see them start, he started to speak, then hesitated and finally said in a queer voice, "If you folks will let me take the baby in for Ellie to keep, you may take the best horse out of my stable and lead it home." Manly and Laura were still in astonishment, and Mr. Boast went on, "You folks can have another baby. We can't. We never can." Manly gathered up the reins, and Laura said with a little gasp, "Oh, no, no, drive on, Manly." As they drove away, she hugged little Rose tightly, but she was sorry for Mr. Boast as he stood still where they had left him, and for Mrs. Boast waiting in the house, knowing, she was sure, that Mr. Boast was going to propose for them. Thank you for joining me. Let me see. You know what? Let's finish year 2. Let's finish year 2. What do you think? No, we're not going to finish year 2 because it's been disrupted by a bot. This is Mrs. Wolfe from Reading with Beverly Wolfe saying thank you for joining me. And maybe tomorrow we'll finish year 2. Take care. God bless.